Guten Morgen. Hello. Look at these smiley faces. Looking good. We're going to talk about fusion marketing. I'm going to change the way you look at marketing, hopefully for the better. Social media changed the way we look at marketing, and it overwhelmed us. So now, how do we pull it all together? How do we make it all work together? That's what we're going to talk about here. There we go. What you're about to see here is a system of looking at everything that we can do in marketing, whether it's traditional, digital, social, all the different tools that we have available to us. The system that we put together actually has a United States patent pending on it, but I have no intentions of ever enforcing the patent. It's for credibility. So it's kind of, is that how we're going to do it? I blind somebody every time? Green button. There we go. Nice. Okay, in marketing, we're all here because we want to talk about marketing. We all have the same problems. Does anybody face this problem like continuously? We know that half of our advertising isn't working, we just don't know which half. Well, we've heard that throughout our careers. Everybody thinks that it was Ogilvy of Ogilvy and Mathers, but actually it was the famous Lord Leverhulme. That's for tonight's party. You can share that around. Lord Leverhulme. Him and his bro founded Lever Brothers. So he kind of knows about advertising and marketing. And as marketers, it's our responsibility that everything that we do should convert to sales. The second biggest question that we're always faced with is, now that we have social media marketing, digital marketing, and we still have all the traditional that we have to pay attention to, how do we handle it? How do we put it in a way that we can do our marketing on purpose and not by accident? Because it is really overwhelming for us. And then the remaining part is where's the ROI? I'm sure that if you work for a company that your CEO is asked, where's the ROI? Especially when it comes to social media marketing. And if you're working for a client, they're going to want to know where the ROI is. ROI, return on investment. If I put X amount of dollars in up front in my marketing, I expect multiples of that to come back specifically from every single campaign that we do in revenue. Because if you're not generating multiples of what it cost you to do it for that company or client, then you're causing a disservice. You have to get your money back. One of the things that I'm going to say, and like Sebastian forewarned us, is that I'm going to tick off a lot of people. If you're calling yourself a social media expert, you're admitting to the world that you have been left behind. Yeah, you think you're on the cutting edge, but you're not. Social media, yeah, it's totally cool. But unless you understand social media, and you understand digital marketing, and you understand traditional marketing, and you know how to put them completely together, and I'll use the word integrated, but I mean much more than integrated, then you really only understand half of the tools necessary to legitimately call yourself a marketer, because we still have to use all of those tools. The biggest trend in 2013 in the United States was Fortune 500 companies hiring vice presidents of social media marketing. In 2014, the biggest trend in the United States was those vice presidents being fired because there was no ROI, because they were generally in different buildings. You had traditional marketing over here, and you had social media over here. You had the old folks over here, you had the young folks over there, and they weren't working together, and that's why it doesn't work. What I wanted to do, I'm about systems. My background is kind of cutting-edge marketing and technology. I have 18 inventions in the Smithsonian Institution in Washington. I hold 3 patents on three-dimensional internet advertising. So I'm always about how do we create a tool to help us with something that's complicated. So what I did is I created this image that you see behind you right now. By the way, the image in the center is called a starburst. If you're in marketing, you have to know that term because that's what we use. It's new and improved, 25% off. So I started with that image, and I thought, let me start with traditional, because I've been doing traditional my entire career, and if I can understand that, maybe I could translate it into social media marketing, a way of kind of organizing and seeing everything. And I created this image, and to be honest with you, I was completely unimpressed. It's just a crappy pointed circle in the center with a bunch of tools around it. But then I started looking at it a little bit more closely and assumed that maybe there's something of value. If you don't see it, here's what's of value. for the very first time for me, I had an image that I could put up on my wall next to my desk, and any time that I was going to put together a marketing plan, a quarterly marketing plan, a marketing plan for a product launch, or working with a client, I can look at this wheel and instantly see every single traditional tool that was available to me. We do marketing generally by accident. We do whatever we did for our clients last year, and we throw more money at it because it didn't work last year, and we're hoping that if we throw more money at it, it's going to work better this year. Einstein once said, the definition of insanity is doing something the same way and expecting different results. So that doesn't work. But what I noticed here is that I can look around this wheel and I can see everything available to me in traditional. Things that I never thought of, things that I never felt comfortable with, things that maybe I've done a few years ago and it didn't work for me. So the first thing that came out of this was, wow, this forces me to consider every traditional tool available to me. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But I'm about relationships. How does one thing affect the other? Does one of these tools affect any one of the other tools that are up there? Is there any relationship? If you think there's a relationship, you probably slipped in the shower this morning and hit your head, because there isn't. I mean, it's just a bunch of marketing tools. But then I thought for a second, let's take a look at some of the tools that we have here. Business cards. Everybody in the room have business cards? Yeah? Has anybody here used a business card and can attribute a sale? How much revenue does that business card generate for you and your employees in your company? Probably none, but we all have business cards. Got to kind of make you ask the question, if none of us has ever generated revenue by the use of a business card, then why do we carry them? They're a stationary necessity, because we do have to carry them. So I picked business cards because I felt it was probably the weakest marketing tool in this traditional category. And I thought, okay, what are we really looking at here? Again, it forced me to look at business cards a little bit different. A business card is a representation of an actual meeting of someone. You met somebody face to face. You and I have touched one another, legally of course, but we have a relationship, and that's much stronger than anything that you can do on a social network. You could be my friend on Facebook for 100 years, but you are not going to get the same relationship if you and I spent 15 minutes talking to each other and shook each other's hand. So then I thought, okay, this made me look at business cards kind of in a different perspective. It went from the worst marketing tool to one of the better marketing tools in my mind because of its representation. So then I thought, okay, what other tool up here is poor? So I looked at coupons. We all have done coupons. They don't work. They're lousy. They cost your company revenue. The purpose of a coupon is for someone who has never used your product or service before to exercise that coupon and get a reduction in cost, which would encourage a first-time buyer to actually use your product or your service. But that's not how coupons are used. The people who are already buying your products, the people that are willing to pay full retail, are the ones that are searching for the coupons and using them the most. So you got customers that will pay full retail that you're just giving away revenue to. So I'm not crazy about coupons. So I thought I'd pick that, because if I could take the two worst traditional tools and put them together and find a relationship, maybe there's something to this. So what I did is I thought, wait a minute, business card, personal relationship, we met. What if on the back of my business card I put a coupon? And every time myself or any employee in my company handed out a business card, that was an opportunity for people to actually call us, because if we just met, you probably had never heard about my product or service. So wait a minute, now I'm getting more effective results out of the coupons. But then if it was on the back of my business card, think about the distribution. If every single employee you have is distributing those. Not bad. Then I thought, what if I put a QR barcode on the back of my business card with a video that said, hi, my name is Lon Safko. You and I actually met. Why don't you give me a call, and I'll spend a half an hour on the phone with you and answer any question you have about social media marketing. Now, let me ask that question. Do you think that having that on the back of my business card would affect revenue? Well, of course it would, because it would remind that person that we have a physical relationship, we have met before, and by putting that on the back of the barcode, it reminds them to call me, which will increase revenue. So at this point, I realized we have something called fusion. If I can take two of the worst marketing tools I have available to me in traditional marketing, and I can put them together in such a way that they become significantly more effective, Well, wow, isn't that every marketer's dream? To take what you're doing, make it more effective, but not spend a cent more, because I'm already doing business cards, I'm already doing coupons. Then I realized that if I look at this wheel, I can take anything on that wheel and connect it to anything else on that wheel, and it works. You can use one to drive traffic to the other. You can use one to make the other one significantly more effective. And considering that you're already doing both anyway, it doesn't cost any additional money. And I thought, wow, this is really amazing. This is fusion. The other thing that I noticed too is if you reverse the connections, what if I put personal information on my coupons? Not your 800 number where some receptionist is going to answer, put the person on hold, tell them they don't know the right person to connect them to, disconnect them 2 or 3 times, and then eventually toss them into a voicemail. Does that encourage business? But that's what we do. Or let's put them into your home page with drop-down menus that don't work on mobile devices, and we know everything is moving to mobile. So why don't we just cut to the chase? Call this number, here's my name, put it on every coupon. You have a personal person that you can call and contact about your that company's products or services. Wow, would that increase the effectiveness of people using coupons? Absolutely. Okay, so you can connect everything with everything, and you can reverse connect it, and every single connection is a hidden opportunity for us, and this is just traditional. So you can imagine being the author of the Social Media Bible, the largest book ever written, #1 on Amazon. I couldn't wait to actually jump in and do the social media wheel. So I put the top 20 categories. Those are the 20 chapters in my book. Those are the major categories inside of social media marketing. And I asked the same questions. I said, what are the 2 worst marketing tools I have available to me in social media? Web pages. Your web page is critical and at the same time completely irrelevant. I'm going to pause for effect. It's critical because you have to do SEO, SEM to get your web page found. You have to be at least in the top 5, if not the top 3 Google SERPs, search engine result page results. Because when your customer's looking for you, that's the only credibility that you have. Once they get to your web page, they don't care what you have to say. What do we say on our homepage? We are the world's leading industry leaders in the world and leading industries throughout the world in leadership. How many people got a mission statement that reads about the same? So customers really don't care. They just need to find it, and then they're going to move on, and they're going to go to Facebook, and they're going to find out people that have actually bought your product or service. They're going to get peer review. So web pages, even though we invest a lot of money in them, once somebody finds them, they don't have any value. So I'm going to pick that. The other one I'm going to pick is a really bad marketing tool, but a great collaboration and education tool, which is Second Life. Everybody familiar with Second Life, the virtual world? Dude, see, I knew you guys are ahead of everybody else. And they're in the front row. You notice the people that sit in the front row, they're always on it. The ones in the back row are the troublemakers, right, in school? Yeah, you, I'm talking about you. So I picked these 2. Second Life is a virtual world. It runs on a thin client. It is a cartoon environment. You get avatars, and instead of blowing people's brains out, you actually meet other people and collaborate. And I teach classes, but I also have an e-commerce presence in Second Life. So I said, wait a minute. On my website, I don't mention anything about Second Life. Second Life has 17 million participants, and I have a relatively large investment in Second Life. But I never mentioned it on my websites. How come? Because I never thought of it. But by using this system, it forced me to think of those connections. So what I did was, on my website, I took a picture of my little avatar. Yeah, that's my cartoon character, 25 years and 25 pounds ago. Hey, it's my avatar. I can make it look the way I want. And I put it on my website. Within 24 hours, I saw a 400% increase in traffic to my Second Life property. I didn't realize how many people that were coming to my website and reading my book were actually into Second Life. I'm doing them both already. There was no additional expense other than the 10 minutes to remind people that I participate. 400% increase. So then I said, well, what if we can reverse this? What if we can look at the reverse on that? I went into Second Life, and there was no mention of me doing keynotes or corporate training, or no mention of me at all. So I put a banner up in my store, because I do e-commerce in there, virtual electronic retailing. I said, go to my e-commerce store, extremedigitalmarketing.com, mention Second Life, and with any purchase, I'll give you a free DVD. 24 hours, I saw a 180% increase in traffic to my e-commerce store. Of course, there's 17 million people in Second Life, but do you think, as long as I could possibly live, that I would even think of putting those together? You wouldn't think of connecting them. I'm doing them already. So then I went around this wheel and I was like, wait a minute, in Facebook, am I driving people to my LinkedIn asking for connections? No. Am I sending out tweets that if you love my 140 characters, you're going to love my email? No. So I didn't think of it. So by using this system here, I was looking at everything that I can do in social and how I could use one tool to significantly increase the effectiveness of another tool. And it was all for free because I'm doing them anyway. And then, of course, there's all of the reverse connections. Now, you know where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to take traditional, digital, and social, and I'm going to put them together in one wheel so I can look at everything. Could you imagine the opportunities that you can find if you put everything together? Top 20 traditional marketing tools, top 20 social tools, put them in one wheel. We got a problem. When you start looking at all the different opportunities that are available to you, it's going to become overwhelming. There is just too much. Now, I'm going to say that again. Opportunities to significantly increase the effectiveness of your marketing without spending any additional money, and I'm apologizing because there's too much opportunity for you to handle. So I realized really quickly, and by the way, that's how many opportunities are there with only 40 connections. Think about that for a second. That's how much you can improve your marketing if you had an unlimited budget and all of the tech support in India, which we don't. So I realized there had to be some way to get it under control. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hands because I'm only going to embarrass you, but if you work for a company, you should know what the cost of customer acquisition is. How much does each individual customer cost your company? Each year, each quarter, each product launch, every single thing that you're doing, cost of customer acquisition. All that means is I spent as a marketing team this amount of money, and I generated this amount of new customers, and those customers generated X amount of revenue. And if you don't know that answer, that's a homework assignment. You've got to go back and find that number. That's the only thing you can measure your effectiveness. Now, don't tell anybody that you got the number because the CEO is going to want to see it, and hiding that number, we call that job security. So what happens is that if you look historically at how much you spent, how many new customers, and how much money you generated, you're going to find out some really astonishing things. Some of the things that there's two types of numbers, but they're both OMG numbers. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I spent that much money and generated nothing for revenue. Or, oh my gosh, that actually worked out pretty well for us. We spent X, we generated X, but shouldn't that be our job as a marketer, to understand what's effective and what's not effective? So we have to start measuring what we do. And with social media at our disposal, we can do that. Because we can take traditional, we could take newspaper and push it through the internet, and we can measure everything. We could take television or radio, anything in traditional, and push it through a barcode. There's ways of doing it. So this is the first time in history of marketing that we have the opportunity to measure everything, both traditional, all three, digital, social, and traditional. Okay, so now I'm going to come up with this really cool set of tools. The best social media tools and deliberately the best traditional tools available to us, because we just went through this process of determining what's working and what's not. So now I've got a perfect customized set of tools that I want you to look at it that way, as a complete set of tools. Okay, we're going to skip a slide here because you can also drill down. Take one tool, social networks, put it in the center. Then ask, what are the top 10 social tools? You can take every single tool and drill down deeper and deeper. And then connect. Am I connecting MySpace to Facebook? Okay, does that mean I can keep going until you actually pull me off the stage? Okay, I'm going to keep going. Facebook, put it in the middle. What are the top 10 best business practices that we use on Facebook? If Facebook is a tool that you've agreed that you need to use, you need to know what the top 10 business practices are. If you don't, you're not using it effectively.